This is the Wannabe Saints podcast, where we take virtues and try to break them down so they become tangible and applicable to your life.
We aren't here to bring you advice, we're here to bring you virtue. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Rachel.
We're your hosts, and this is Wannabe Saints.
Welcome back to Wannabe Saints, everybody. We have our final virtue for our Built on Virtue series for the summer. Today is all on temperance. So we're just going to go ahead and just get started.
Our final virtue in this Built on Virtue series is temperance. This one feels like a hot topic, not because it's controversial, but because it's incredibly countercultural. We live in a fast-paced world where everything is at our fingertips, especially here in America. I'm sure you're already thinking, okay, here we go, a rant about purity, drunkenness, instant gratification, phone time, fad diets. And honestly, you'd be right. Those are all things worth talking about. But if we dive into every one of them, this reflection will go on forever, and you'll have Rachel and I on a soapbox talking about things you probably already know. Because the truth is, you already know too much food, too much drink, too much scrolling, and too much pleasure aren't good for you. Even things that seem good can become too much. So instead of listing every area we might be lacking temperance, we want to talk about true temperance and give you the tools to battle whatever area of your life you're struggling with. For starters, yes, too much of anything is unhealthy. St. Thomas Aquinas says that virtue always lies in the middle, and temperance is the virtue that helps us live in that middle. The good news is that we don't have to fight for temperance by our own strength alone. Through God's grace and the sacraments, we can grow in this virtue. It's not just about self-control, it's about cooperating with God's grace. So the question becomes, how do we battle a world of pleasure, consumption, and constant desire? Let's start where we always do, not with our opinions, but with what the Church teaches.
The Catechism of the Catholic Church, in paragraph 1809, defines temperance as, quote, the moral virtue that moderates the attraction of pleasures and provides balance in the use of created goods. It ensures the will's mastery over instincts and keeps desires within the limits of what is honorable, end quote. The key word in that definition is moderation. Now, maybe you're thinking, okay, but what does moderation even look like? That's actually the difficult part about temperance. Every one of us is different. We have different personalities, different temperaments, different wounds, different habits, different struggles. What one person can enjoy in moderation may be a real temptation for someone else. And that's why temperance requires honesty. It requires self-reflection. The Lord gave us a moral compass for a reason. Most of the time, we already know when we're overindulging in something. And the challenge isn't simply identifying the behavior, it's asking why it's there in the first place. Because if we really want to grow in temperance, we can't just battle the symptom. We have to find the root. When we go to confession, we often find ourselves confessing the same sins over and over again. Or maybe you've caught yourself thinking, I keep doing it anyway, so what's the point? If that's you, the real question isn't just, how do I stop sinning? The better question is, what's feeding the sin? It's just like going to the doctor. Imagine you're dealing with all kinds of health issues, and instead of finding the cause, the doctor only treats the symptoms. You might feel better for a little while, but the real problem is still there. True healing only comes when you get to the root. I actually experienced this myself last fall. I was dealing with breakouts, losing my hair, really intense cycles, and a handful of other health issues. I could have kept taking Advil and just lived with it, but instead I decided to get testing done and figure out the root cause. It took almost 9 months. It wasn't easy, and definitely wasn't a quick fix. But because I stayed with the process, I actually healed. My hair is growing back, my skin cleared up, and I naturally lost weight because I finally addressed what was causing the problem in the first place. Our spiritual life works the same way. If we want real healing, we have to stop treating symptoms and start asking, what is the root?
For many of us, our struggle with temperance can be traced back to one of the 3 root vices. Maybe one of these stand out to you. Maybe it's more than one. The first is pride. Pride is a disordered attachment to our own excellence. We begin seeking our identity and fulfillment in our achievements, our success, or our ability to do everything ourselves. Maybe you're a perfectionist and constantly feel like you have to prove yourself. Maybe you have an unhealthy desire for control and independence, relying on yourself instead of trusting God or allowing others to help you. The remedy for pride is gratitude and humility. Gratitude reminds us that every gift we have comes from God. Humility reminds us of the truth about ourselves, that we are neither greater nor less than anyone else. We are simply beloved sons and daughters of God. The second is vanity. Vanity is a disordered attachment to the approval of others. We begin to look for our worth in praise, recognition, or what other people think of us. The remedy is hidden acts of charity. Jesus tells us not to let our left hand know what our right hand is doing. We do good because it's good, not because someone else notices. The third is sensuality. Sensuality is a disordered attachment of comfort, ease, and pleasure. It's always looking for the easiest path, the quickest fix, or the most comfortable option. The remedies are temperance and fortitude. Temperance teaches us to say no to our desires. Fortitude gives us the courage to keep saying no when it's difficult. When you really look at these three root vices, you'll notice something. They're often underneath so many of the sins we struggle with. And that's why growing in temperance requires more than behavior modification. It requires an identity shift. We have to be willing to reflect honestly, identify the root, and choose to change. And here's the key. We have to fall in love with the process, not just the transformation. Most of us would love to look good and feel good, but one workout doesn't transform your body. One healthy meal doesn't transform your health. Real change happens through consistency. The same is true spiritually. One good day doesn't make us saints. Transformation happens through the daily battle, through the ordinary choices, through choosing virtue over and over again. So before we go any further, take a moment and honestly ask yourself, where do I struggle with temperance? Because until we identify the battle, we can't begin fighting it.
Now that we've identified where we struggle, the next question is, how do we actually begin growing in temperance? Maybe your battle is your phone, maybe it's food, maybe it's alcohol, maybe it's constantly staying busy because slowing down feels uncomfortable. Maybe it's the need to prove yourself through success. Maybe your identity is rooted in the approval of others. Or maybe it's constantly chasing the next fad diet, hoping it will finally bring the change you're looking for. Whatever your struggle is, we all have a way out. And that begins by finding the virtue that defeats the vice. One of the greatest tools God has given us to battle vice and grow in temperance is fasting. Jesus himself fasted for 40 days in the desert. He didn't do it just to set an example of self-denial. He did it to show us that temptation is real. If the devil tempted our Lord, we shouldn't be surprised when we're tempted too. The question isn't whether we'll be tempted. The question is whether we'll be prepared. That's why we fast. Fasting is one of the most forgotten spiritual practices today. And honestly, we could do an entire reflection on it alone. Most of us think fasting is simply about giving something up for an intention. And while that's certainly part of it, fasting also changes us. Every time we fast, we're practicing self-denial. We're telling ourselves, no, I don't need this right now. We're learning that we don't have to say yes to every desire, every craving, and every comfort from the moment it presents itself. In a world built on instant gratification, fasting trains us in temperance. It strengthens our will, it builds self-discipline, and ultimately, it leads us to freedom.
I love something Father Kevin shared when he joined us for our chastity episode. He said, anything you can't say no to, you're a slave to. That one sentence really puts temperance into perspective. If you can't say no to the chocolate, the endless doom scrolling, the extra cup of coffee, your work, or whatever it is that has become your comfort, then maybe it's worth asking whether that thing has begun controlling you instead of you controlling it. Temperance isn't about depriving ourselves, it's about becoming free. Free to say no. Free to choose what's better. Free to love God and the people in front of us without being controlled by our appetites or desires. One area I think this really shows up today is in our relationships with work. Our world celebrates busyness, success, productivity. But because we all carry a phone in our pocket, our work never really stops. You can answer emails in the middle of the night if you wanted to. And that's exactly why temperance matters. Sometimes the most temperate thing you can do is close your laptop, silence your notifications, and be fully present to the people in front of you. The Lord gives us the Sabbath for a reason. Not because He needs us to rest, but because we need to rest. If all we ever do is work, eventually we're running on empty. And when we're running on empty, we can't love the people around us as well as we are called to.
One thing I try to keep in perspective, even though I don't have kids yet, is my nieces and nephews. The children growing up today will never know a world where a phone isn't constantly competing for someone's attention. Every time I say, "Hang on, let me finish this text," I'm communicating that whatever is on my screen is more important than the person standing in front of me. That reality has really changed me. It reminds me to put my phone down, answer their question, and be present. Because if I say I value the people God has placed in front of me, then my actions should reflect that. We have to take our values and turn them into virtues. One of the beautiful things about fasting is that it doesn't just strengthen our willpower, it changes our hearts. Yes, we can fast for a specific intention, but fasting also forms us. It teaches us discipline, helps us grow in self-denial, and turns our attention back to God. Every time we choose to say no to comfort, we're reminded that we don't live by bread alone, but by the grace of God. If pride is your root struggle, fasting cultivates gratitude. When you're hungry and offering that sacrifice to the Lord, you begin appreciating the blessings you so often take for granted. If sensuality is your struggle, fasting teaches you that you don't have to satisfy every desire the moment it arises. It reminds you that comfort isn't the goal, freedom is. And if vanity is your struggle, fasting teaches hidden humility. Jesus tells us not to announce our fasting to everyone around us. We don't fast so people admire our discipline. We fast because we love the Lord. In fact, sometimes the more charitable thing is to accept the meal someone lovingly prepared for you than to announce, "Oh, sorry, I'm fasting today." The point was never to appear holy. The point is allowing God to quietly transform us. That's why fasting is so powerful. It doesn't just change our habits, it changes us.
If we don't choose to live a life of temperance, little by little, we become slaves to the things of this world. We lose the freedom to say no. No to the extra cookie. No to the endless scrolling. No to another cup of coffee we don't actually need. No to checking one more email. Temperance gives us that freedom back. More importantly, it gives us the freedom to say yes. Yes to prayer when it's inconvenient. Yes to serving others. Yes to being present. Yes to loving well. Because that's the whole point of the Christian life. We weren't created to live for ourselves. We were created to love God and to love our neighbor. The more we learn to deny ourselves, the more capable we become of giving ourselves away. That's real freedom. When we constantly give into instant gratification, our will slowly weakens. Without realizing it, we begin placing other things before God. Maybe it's our success, our phone, money, approval, comfort. None of those things are bad in themselves. But when they begin taking first place in our hearts, they become idols.
St. Peter tells us to be vigilant. That means regularly looking inward and asking ourselves what's taking root in our hearts. Sometimes the biggest struggles aren't the obvious ones. You may not struggle with drunkenness or pornography or endless scrolling, but maybe you've begun struggling with judgment, pride, impatience, or being critical. Thinking you're somehow better than everyone else because you've grown in one area of the spiritual life. Unfortunately, Catholics sometimes have that reputation. And if we're honest, sometimes we've earned it. Jesus never separated truth from love. He was both. And people are all at different places in their journey. Some don't know, some know but haven't surrendered yet, and some desperately want to change but don't know how. Who are we to judge where someone else's heart is before God? That's why vigilance matters. Temperance isn't just about moderating food or drink, it's about examining our hearts. It's asking, where am I becoming prideful? Where am I becoming impatient? Where have I stopped loving well? No matter where we are in our conversion, we have to remain vigilant, that we aren't simply trading one vice for another. Humility keeps us honest. It helps us recognize both our gifts and our weaknesses. And it reminds us that all of it is meant to build God's kingdom and not our own. Whether you're raising children, teaching, working in an office, serving in a ministry, or living your vocation quietly behind the scenes, you're called to build His kingdom through the people He's placed around you. I love the words often attributed to St. Francis. Preach the gospel at all times and use words when necessary. Our lives should preach Christ long before our mouths do.
So, let's end with 5 practical ways to begin growing in temperance. First, grow in self-knowledge. Examine your heart. Be vigilant. Ask the Lord to reveal the areas where you're lacking balance. 2. Identify the virtue that defeats your vice. Don't just fight the symptom, find the root. 3. Fast at least once a week. Start somewhere. Let fasting train your heart in self-denial and freedom. 4. Frequent the sacraments. Grace is what transforms us. We don't grow in temperance by willpower alone. 5. Fall in love with the process, not just the transformation. Holiness isn't built in one good day. It's built through thousands of faithful choices made over a lifetime. So let's go back to where we started. When most people hear the word temperance, they immediately think of food, alcohol, social media, or all the things they're supposed to stop doing. But temperance is so much more than self-control. It's freedom. Freedom to say no to things that pull us away from God, so that we can say yes to the things that bring us closer to Him. Because that's what every virtue is really about. It's not about restriction, it's about freedom. The freedom to love well, the freedom to be present. The freedom to choose what is good instead of simply choosing what feels good in the moment. And that's why temperance matters. It doesn't just change our habits, it changes our hearts. It teaches us to master our desires instead of allowing our desires to master us. It reminds us that we were created for something greater than comfort. We were created for holiness.
So this week, don't try to fix everything at once. Start with one area. Ask yourself, where do I struggle with temperance? Maybe it's your phone, maybe it's food, maybe it's work, maybe it's constantly needing the approval of others, or maybe it's comfort. Whatever it is, bring it to the Lord. Ask Him for the grace to grow, and then take one practical step. Maybe it's fasting, maybe it's putting your phone away during dinner, maybe it's taking a true Sabbath rest. Maybe it's choosing prayer instead of reaching for another distraction. Don't fall in love with the transformation, fall in love with the process. Because every small act of self-denial, every hidden sacrifice, every time you choose virtue over comfort, you're becoming more free, more joyful, and more like Christ. And isn't that the goal of every virtue? Not simply to become a better person, but to become a saint.
Thanks everyone for listening. We really hope you enjoyed the summer series of Built on Virtue. And don't forget to give us a like and subscribe and give us a share if you enjoy our show and if you think these are helpful for other people.
And if you actually did really enjoy this mini-series and the reflections on the virtues, let us know so that we can keep doing this for you guys if you would like it to become a regular thing. But check out our Patreon, check out the links in our show notes. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Wannabe Saints podcast.
If you have a question or topic you would like us to cover, reach out to us at wannabesaintspodcast@gmail.com or on Instagram at wannabe_saints.
You can find the link in our show notes.
Thanks for listening, and God bless.